Hello and welcome back to the Saints Squad Show. I'm your host, Dylan Sanders, and right before we went live, Ross learned the price of a haircut.
I'm Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, and I think y'all paying too much for haircuts, man.
I'm Darian Gray. Darian Gray, who that dish, and at least I'm still getting haircuts.
Ooh, this is former Saints wide receiver Lance Moore, and I am the man who cuts his own hair here.
Yeah.
It's the Saints Squad. Everything New Orleans Saints, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from down in the Big Easy, the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Saints Squad Show, starting now.
Howdy, Who Dat Nation, and welcome back to the Saints Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every Sunday and Wednesday. We have a unique group of experts here ready to bring you a fun and informative show on everything New Orleans Saints. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit special, and it's kind of a we're still going to have our game picks and previews coming, and bold predictions coming at the end of the show. But before that, the NFL trade deadline is coming up fast, and we want to get ahead of it because we think some trades might start happening soon. So we are going to go over all of the players that we think might get moved over the next couple of weeks, or at least have a chance to. They won't all get moved, but they all have a chance to get moved. So we're going to come up with some trade offers for all of them. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. I want to give a quick shout out to Ashley from last week's episode's chat where she said, "Dylan, I like your hats." To honor you today, I'm not wearing a hat because I am putting to use my one acting class I took in college, and I am taking on the role of opposing NFL GM. Lance, Ross, and Darian are going to be putting on their classic Saints GM hats. GM Lance, and I'm going to come to them with a bunch of players that we think might get traded over the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to give them a trade offer. It'll be up to them those three to come together, say if they want to take that trade, reject it, or renegotiate and whatever until we find a common ground, or we just decide maybe not to move them right now. And I think it's going to be a fun little new type of episode to have fun because it's going to be a busy couple of weeks. But first, before we get to our first one, I just want to take a quick second to remember and remind people this is it is a business, but it is a human touch. And these are people's jobs. People are going to get moved. It's going to be a tough time for a couple people. So I wanted to talk to Lance real quick. I know you didn't get traded, but you were teammates with people who did get traded. And talk a little bit about what you can give us some insight into the mindset of an NFL player who just got traded.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely like from an outsider's perspective, it's just like, okay, we want this guy gone or we want this guy traded and we want to trade for this guy. Well, there's a whole lot more on the back end that goes into that from a front office perspective, but from a total player's perspective, sometimes the player's in the know, right? Sometimes the player or his representation has talked to the organization about, hey, we'd like to explore a trade for whatever reason. Maybe they're not playing a lot. Maybe they're kind of getting older in their career and want a different place that maybe has a better opportunity to win. Maybe we'll have one of those scenarios in our trade discussions today. But honestly, being around guys who were traded either to play with me or away from the team that I was on, I couldn't imagine, because it's literally you're working in one setting one day and literally the next day you're working somewhere else. Yeah. And it's the NFL and the team pays to fly you there and set you up and you're good to go. But what if guys have families? What if guys have kids who are in school? How do guys get somebody to their place if they're single to pack up all their stuff, to ship their stuff to wherever they're playing? Like, that's the part that I think gets kind of lost in the shuffle, as there's plenty of other times, right? Fantasy football or just fans a lot of time in general look at us athletes as their entertainment and not necessarily always human. So I couldn't have imagined being traded, and I didn't have a family. So I definitely can't imagine what some of these guys are going to go through in the next couple of weeks as we get closer to the trade deadline, because there is a whole lot more to it outside of the X's and O's than just saying, okay, we don't want this guy on our team anymore. We're going to see what's the best package that we can get in return for him. It's got to be tough, honestly. I mean, and you know, guys are pros and they understand the reality that they could potentially be traded, and there's not really anything you can do about it, right? There's very, very few players who have no trade clauses in their contract, and it's actually pretty rare that a player has such a thing in their contract. So most guys, I would say a lot of time, they don't even know necessarily that it's coming until it's already happened. Right? They kind of give the agent a heads up, hey, this is what we're doing. And then they kind of let the player know, or the agent lets the player know what's happening. And it's got to be tough. I mean, I think that's the best way that I can describe it. But you know, from a football standpoint, usually you would hope that whatever the reason is for the trade, that it works out for both sides. That's kind of how I look at it. And it doesn't always work out like that, but you know, that's usually the goal.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for giving that insight. I thought it was, you know, important because we're going to be talking about a lot of these players for the next couple of weeks as just like pieces to a puzzle. That's not, they're humans, and there is an emotional side to it. You know, you don't want to see anyone get distraught or, you know, go through a tough time. So, you know, it's important to remember that as we talk about football players, because a lot of times people just see them as people on a TV screen. But that all that said, let's get to fantasy and act like these players aren't real people and talk about trading them and how much they're worth. Let's start off with Chris Olave. I think he is the biggest name being thrown around right now in terms of, you know, he was a first-round pick. He had a bunch of highlight plays and is, you know, still viewed by some as, you know, a high potential player. Some think that his best days are behind him. You know, I'm not going to be any specific team during these, but, you know, for my own sake, let's say the Buffalo Bills are calling and are saying, hey, we want Chris Olave. My offer to y'all three, my first opening offer, is a 2026 second round pick and a 2027 fourth round pick.
Oh, all right, guys, let's huddle up here. That feels like a very good trade.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
I like
Dylan,
it.
Right away. I'm not even hanging up. We can't hang up the phone. We got to agree right here.
I don't even think we need to take another team's call. I think we just tell Brandon Bean yes immediately.
Yes.
And then we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you're good on that. I think you're good on that.
And I think the thing with Chris Olave, I think he is potentially the most likely person to be traded for various reasons. But I think the fact that the fifth year option is still there. So this is not like a half season rental. Like
that's where I think a little bit more of the value comes from.
100%.
For sure.
100%.
For sure. And that gives Buffalo an opportunity to see how he fits this year and to build on what he's able to do this year, next year. And you don't necessarily have to offer him an extension anytime soon. I think that's where Buffalo kind of wins in the trade. Like, okay, we get this guy that's a proven commodity. He's a down the field stretch guy, which Buffalo needs in a big time way. Somebody that matches the skill set of Josh Allen, somebody that offers something different than the rest of the receivers on that offense. Even though I feel like Keon Coleman has the ability to stretch the field, he's not Chris Olave. I think he does, you know, more of the short and intermediate and then red zone jump ball type situation. So like, I think Chris would be a perfect addition to that offense. Love the player, love the kid. And I do think that he has a bigger upside somewhere like Buffalo, as opposed to being and staying in New Orleans with Spencer Rattler and the Saints in the current rebuild. That's just kind of my 2 cents. I think a second, and would you say a second and a fourth?
A next future fourth.
Okay. I mean, I'll take.
That's still basically the value of a second and a fifth.
It's going to be a late. It's going to be a late second
yeah.
round pick, which is understandable. But still, I mean, go ahead, Darren.
I want to throw this at you guys. So, not being any team in particular, what if a team that's more likely to be towards the beginning of the rounds, they throw a third, right? Are we saying late second, early third, and we're accepting both? I know he specifically said Buffalo, but having a conversation around the value around Olave, I think it's important to talk ranges and maybe not just always so specific. So if you got an early or something somewhere you expect it to be an early third and that additional fourth, are we still keeping our same answer? I would say yes, because it's about that same range, but I want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I'd take the early, like the late second over the early third, because it's just simply an earlier selection. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you too, Darian, even if it was a late second and a future fourth from Buffalo, or an early third and a future, and a future fourth from this, like if it was the same, partner or whatever, or even if it was like a fifth for the same year or something like that, like an early third and like a this year fifth, I'd still take the late second. I'd still take the Buffalo offer. Let me not say it that way. Is better.
I don't mean it that way. I don't mean this or that. I'm saying, would you also take that? If somebody called you, let's say Buffalo didn't offer that, and somebody in the early third offered you that deal, would you still take it? That's what I'm saying. I know the early second, I'm in agreement. I would take the late second before the early third, but would you take the early third?
If that was the only offer.
Yeah, if it was the only
one. If that was the only offer, I'm saying, if that was what they called, and would you still have it saying we're not letting this guy off the line, or would you still try to shop around? Maybe that's the way to look at it. Because we're not even letting him off the phone. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So if you early third, are you still having that same reaction?
I mean, either way, you're probably trying to take more offers and everything like that. But like Devontae Adams was moved for a third, Stephon Diggs, a fifth and a sixth were moved for a second. And so if you can get an early third for Chris Olave or a late second for Chris Olave, anything in that range, I think is pretty solid for what you're getting in return. I know you used the first to draft him, but that's, now he's on the fourth year. Like you're trading away all these other things. Like I think I would still take either one of those, but if they were the only offer, like I'd still take that early third if it was the only one, for sure.
Well, I think we also need to factor in if he is not moved, I would imagine his representation is going to be talking extension in the offseason. Right. Is there room under the current salary cap, or should I say the 2026 salary cap, to pay the player what they are going to want to get paid? I mean, I think that's a whole nother thing. And with a lot of these guys, or I should say, a couple of these guys who could potentially be due extensions, like you also have to factor in that. Like, are we going to give the player $20 to $30 million per year under our certain or our salary cap constraints at this moment? Right. I think that's another reason why the Saints will be listening to offers, even though they, by all accounts from everybody in the building, they love the player. They love the kid. Yeah. But again, like Dylan said, I mean, this is business first. And I'm with you, Darren. I think if the best offer we got was an early third and a future fourth, I'm still probably taking that deal. Because
would you be taking a late third?
I would take a late third. Absolutely.
I would too. Because it's better than, and this is a little bit different, but it's better than if you can't reach an extension and he goes and he signs with somebody else, and then you end up with a future later than late third at best in terms of a compensatory selection, right? So you're still getting a better pick even with a late third at that point. And to Lance's point, like I don't think that anything about trading any of these players is like we got to get rid of this player. None of that is. It's all about what you're getting in return and what that value is. Like I don't think any of these players, I think Lance is absolutely right there. I don't think any of these players are being moved because they're a problem or because there's any concern about them or because they're upset with them or anything like that. It's about you got to trade a good player in order to get a good return, and so it's all about the return.
Yeah, it's all about asset management. It is. Especially whenever you're not a team that is going to win the Super Bowl this year. Sorry to break it to y'all. Dylan Sanders will say the Saints are not going to win the Super Bowl in 2020.
Bold take, man.
Sounds like a negotiation tactic from an opposing team. That's what
Just real quick, what do y'all think the lowest that they could get for Olave, or the lowest they should go for Chris Olave? What should that be?
Don't leave the third round.
Yeah, three. I think Ross's point about the compensatory is a good one to a good rule to follow.
It's tricky because it would be a future third, right? It would be a third future. So technically you could say don't leave the fourth because that would be of similar value. But I really third should be or third round value at least should be the last. But if there's not a third round pick in there, I'm waiting on another phone call, or I'm happily letting Chris Olave play out his contract here in New Orleans.
All right. Well, coming up next, we're going to get into a bunch more players, and we're going to start off with the other speedy wide receiver over in New Orleans.
Which one?
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether you're a casual fan or just love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, I've tried player props, and I even followed live lines during the games. Let's take a quick look at this weekend's game against the Chicago Bears. See if you might see a bet that you like, and you might want to try it out with $5. The Saints right now are plus 205 on the money line to win. So, they're slight underdogs, and it makes sense they're at home. And then they are also 5.5 point underdogs on the spread. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the app today and get started. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot, and y'all are down a man. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He's trying to come up.
Dry eyes won't take me away from this one. All right. I ran around the whole
Got him.
trying to find eye drops.
All right. Let's get started. Let's kick it off with our next trade offer, and it is for Rashid Shaheed. I'm going to be the New York Giants calling y'all this time.
And you're not happy with Jalen Hyatt?
No.
Okay, sorry. That wasn't necessary. I'm sorry. Sorry.
What is that shot for?
Man.
Trays.
I feel bad for Jalen. Anyway, we're cutting Jalen, and we are trying to get someone else in the building. All right, I'm going to offer y'all a 2026 fourth round pick.
Can I be honest with you guys? I really don't want to trade Shaheed. I'm not saying I'm not moving off of him, but I really would prefer not to. I think he has a lot of flexibility. I don't know how much he's going to end up costing as far as just, fitting into the salary cap. And I think he has a role in his offense. We talk about Olave, and I think a lot of that has to do with the idea of him not being a wide receiver one, which is the reason a lot of people want to move. But I think that Shaheed has a specialist attribute that if I'm not really satisfied with that offer, he's not untouchable. But I would prefer not to move him on my personal side. So I'll say that before moving to you two.
Okay. I mean, in terms of what you're paying him, you're probably looking at like 20-25 per year with him. Like if you compare him, I'm comparing him to like the Jamison Williams contract, right? Which is similar skill set, similar production over the course of, from when Rashid got going till now. And when Jamison got going to his extension,
does it matter to you that Rashid is 3 years older and has torn ACL before college and then has missed a bunch of games?
History. They both got injury history. Really that, and so that doesn't bother me that much. And then if I'm trading away, I'm probably choosing between one or the other, right? So if I'm paying one, then I'm probably not paying Chris Olave, or at least I'm staggering what that looks like. Contractual and everything like that. So I'm not super worried about the 3 years thing in that case too. I think a fourth, Lance, I kind of feel the same way with Olave, that like a third round, knowing that that's the possible compensatory selection is maybe a little bit higher for him. So maybe a fourth does make sense.
I mean, I kind of agree with Darian. And that it's gonna have to be like, we're gonna have to ask for something more in order for us to move off of him. Like it's got to blow me away to get rid of Shaheed. I think I would prefer to keep him and then extend him rather than get a 4 for him.
Yeah.
And you know, assuming we're trading Olave, we're not trading Shaheed. But okay, so let's say we're not trading Olave. I'm not excited or jumping at a 4th round pick offer. I just am not.
Okay. All right, Lance. Because part of this is what Dilly said, we couldn't renegotiate. So do we say no, or do we say let's get together, renegotiate, and come with a counter offer? How would you guys like to approach this trade? Because it's not just a yes, no, it's a how about this?
Right.
I think it depends on who we're talking to.
Who are we talking to again?
The Giants.
So a third would probably move the needle for me a little bit on that one, because I'm thinking compensatory selection, like using that same line of logic, right? That like the best possible thing that I might be able to get if he doesn't want to re-sign here is a 3rd round pick a year from now. And so if I can get a 3rd round pick from a bad team right now, then I'd be more willing to consider it. For the record, I am actually with the two of you in that, like, Shaheed's not somebody I'm in a hurry to move off of at all. You know what I mean?
No.
And so, but if I'm thinking about, you know, what would make me say yes, a 2nd round pick would make me say yes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know that you're going to get that either. So
right.
I'm okay going back with a 3rd, but I'm also okay with them saying no to on their side for a 3rd, because I don't mind. I have no problem keeping Shaheed around.
A 3rd from the Giants,
or a 3rd round value, right? A 4th from this year and a 4th from next year, or a 4th from this year and something else. You know what I mean? Like we could talk value as opposed to standard pick. But honestly, like, I'm cool with just keeping. I'm cool with hang up the phone here.
I think I'll say no. I'll keep my no from the beginning.
I've been looking for a reason to hang up the phone on Joe Shane for a long time, so I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Hello, anyone there?
So,
all right. All right. Well, let's move on to another player. I'm going to go with I am the Detroit Lions, and I'm calling for Alontae Taylor. You know, he's a defensive back. He hasn't, he's versatile, but he hasn't really, he hasn't taken that step that we want to see. So I think that as the Detroit Lions, I heard what they offered you for Rashid. Y'all said no, but I'm going with the same thing. I'm going a 2026 4th round pick for Alontae Taylor. Get him off y'all hands. Y'all don't, y'all aren't going to pay him anyway.
I think a nickel corner, you're probably looking at $10 million per year. That probably puts you in line for maybe a 5th. A 4th would make me think about it. But here's the thing, man. In Brandon Staley's defense, that position's really important. And so am I in a hurry to move off of that player? And do I feel like I could find the other player that, do I feel like I could find somebody to step into that role? Those would be the two questions that I'll be asking myself. Because the 4th isn't going to make me jump like that 2nd offer for Olave did.
I think I'd take it. I wouldn't jump at it. Or the 4th. I think I'd take it. I also think I may be a little bit lower on Taylor than some. It would hurt this year for sure. You probably put Ugo, I'd assume, in that slot if you make that trade. I think I'd do it and maybe try to replace that in the offseason. I just think that it's a solid value. I don't think the Saints do it because you're talking about mid-season extensions and that report comes out that you're having those conversations. That would tell me that if you're talking about extending somebody mid-season, you're probably not also talking about trading them, though the offer may come in and, you address that when it happens. So I don't necessarily know if the Saints are looking to move him or he's one of the first guys they're open to moving, but I might take that 4th. I might try to counter and try to add another day 3 pick to add on to, get a little sweet, but I would like that as a start.
I would use the contract negotiations as a means of telling you, no, I need more. I'm using that as a negotiating tactic. Like, we're already pretty far down the road on a contract extension here. We're not really in a hurry to move off of him. And so like a 4th is nice, but you might have to come with a third, or you might have to come with a fourth and a fifth or something. You know what I mean? Like a fourth and pocket change or something like that. Like I would use that as a negotiating tactic to get more. Lance, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think that just because they're talking extension doesn't mean an extension will get done.
Yes.
So if they're not even in the same ballpark, right? Like, okay, I see no way that we are ever going to agree on an extension because we're over here in left field and you're all the way in right field. Like, okay, so now the GM and whoever else is making calls or fielding calls to see if somebody is willing to not only trade for the player and give us the right type of compensation, but also see if they're going to extend him, because obviously they're going to need to extend him if they're trading for him. So I wouldn't be in a hurry just with the fourth, but I would start talking if somebody's offering up a fourth.
What's the what do you think the counter offer, like the legitimate counter offer is?
If it gets the deal done right now, I'm willing to offer you a third right now.
Oh, bye. We're done. Yep.
All right.
Call Roger.
All right.
Call Roger.
Thanks,
Somebody
All right.
send the fax in.
Yeah,
right.
no, that's getting done.
Yeah, and like that's about the value. That's got nothing to do with Alante. That's great value. Like I was about to say, like, oh, can we get the deal's done, right, Dylan? We can shake our hand on that third. Cool. Because I was gonna say like a fourth and a sixth, but yeah, I'll take.
Yeah, it feels good to have the person overpaying us. You know.
Yeah, right.
All right. I'm gonna take on.
Well, Marshawn was moved for a third and more, and so
shout out the Marshawn trade. Shout out the Marshawn trade. I like.
I'm gonna take on the mantle of the San Francisco 49ers GM, which had a gold jacket. But we're out Nick Bosa for the year. I really liked what Carl Granderson did against us earlier in the year. Let's start talking about maybe moving Carl Granderson deal. Good job finding him. Good job paying him. He's not super productive for y'all, so don't get too excited. But we're willing to offer y'all a 2026 third round pick for Carl Granderson.
2026 third. That's the price. So they traded a 2024 third for Chase Young. San Francisco did. And so if I can get the same price for an undrafted free agent that's been pretty solid, that you paid for a second overall selection, I'm gonna probably say yes to that, because I also have that second overall selection on my roster right now. And so I think I'd probably be okay with that.
I love that Ross gives these precedents. It makes the thought process a lot more simple, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks, Ross.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, that's how Lance probably knows better than. Well, let me not say probably. Lance definitely knows better than I do. But like these types of conversations are oftentimes based on precedent, right? Like that becomes a part of the conversation. Like, oh well, this has happened before historically or typically. That's why like every wide receiver trade for like 3 years was a second and a fifth, a second and a fifth, a second and a fifth, and then it wasn't until wide receivers started getting traded post 30 years old that you saw the price start to change. And all of a sudden you're moving wide receivers and some for something, or you're moving a wide receiver for a third round pick. So like the precedent makes a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm doing it.
All right. You're doing it. All right.
Well, and I think the fact that the team is in a rebuild too is we're all on the same page here. Like it's not like we're trying to get better for 2025 at this point. We're building for the future, and we're still trying to amass draft capital so that once 2026 rolls around, we have ammunition to be able to move and shake the way that we need to, and or acquire more bodies to be able to come in and help us come 2026.
Okay, sorry, pivot.
Yep.
What do you guys see? Let's say he doesn't get traded, he stays. What do you guys see Carl Granderson's role within the Saints long-term as? Right? Like we're talking about, I think that's a great point. And sometimes when talking about players, you say, okay, do we think that when we finish our rebuild, these guys will still be a part of us winning? What do you guys think his long-term role within New Orleans is?
I think it's still like, I would imagine him and Chase and then a hybrid pass rusher slap. I'll throw in like an Arvell Reese, right? Out of Ohio State, like who's got kind of that ability to drop back into coverage and be a pass rusher. I think if you had the three of them as your defensive ends, or let's say outside linebackers for the sake of this conversation, that's probably what that is. Because you don't want to just have one pure pass rusher and one hybrid coverage guy. You want somebody that can rotate. And so having Chase Young and Carl Granderson would be, to me, along with some hybrid pass rusher coverage linebacker, or at least droppable linebacker. Let's call it what it really is. Having that, to me, that would be the long-term vision there for at least the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Well, whenever we come back, we're going to go through a couple more. There'll be a little bit faster pace because it's mostly like veterans or players that, are not as, I would say, important to the future of the team the next couple of years as like a Chris Olave or Rashid if they were to get extended further. But they are still important to the team. And, maybe a linebacker that would open up some room for Danny Stutzman, maybe two.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, let's get back into these trade offers. I'm going to go with who wants to trade for this guy? Let's go Buffalo. Brandon Beane's calling y'all back. He had fun talking to y'all last time. He wants to talk a little bit more. And I am calling about linebacker Pete Werner.
Okay.
And, I've looked around some old linebacker trades and, he's fallen off. He's not really great, but we want him on the team. Y'all don't want him, or y'all can let Danny Stutzman play. We're going to offer y'all a 2026 5th round pick for Pete Werner.
Dang. I don't think so for me. What do you guys think? I have a counter offer, but would you just take the 5th and run?
I would try to counter. But I'd be interested enough to Dylan, turn off your ears. I'd be interested enough to move, right? Like I'd be interested enough to move, but I would try to counter, mostly because to me, I like the future I would be transitioning. So I do want to be very clear on where I'm coming from on it. And, I also think we should move out the way and let Lance rave about his guy. But I like the offer.
Well, I mean,
Lance,
I think, look,
you and I had a similar response. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not super excited about a 5th. We used the 2nd round pick on him. And so not to say that he deserves 2nd round pick compensation coming back, but I don't think I'm awed by that offer. Sure, we'd be moving off of the money and allowing for a younger player that we just drafted named Danny Stutzman to come in and start to get some important reps to kind of build on what, he could potentially be in this defense. I'm not like, I'm definitely, I'm thinking a 4th. I'm willing to talk, but with a 5, I don't think that I'm super excited about that.
How would you feel about going back to them with like Danny Stutzman and a 6th for a 4th? Or like one of those late round pick swaps.
Pete Werner.
I'm sorry, Danny. No, yeah. Danny Stutzman stays.
I was going to say absolutely not.
My bad. I'm just Danny Stutzman's on the mind. I'm trying to get Danny Stutzman on the field. Is what I'm trying to do here.
For sure.
So
For sure.
But Pete Werner in like a sixth to try to get a fourth. I mean, some kind of pick swap to go with it.
I do it. And I think about the contract. Like, is the contract going to hurt some of the value? I don't know exactly. Excuse me. I don't know exactly how we talked about it before, but the finances may be a situation where, like, look, we understand what you want for the player, but we're going to eat some of this contract, so you may have to take a fifth, right? Like, that may be part of that conversation. And are you like, okay, fine, eat some of the contract, we'll take a 5.
It's just already like, the way that I would be pitching that is like, I already negotiated you an easy to handle contract.
Okay.
With Pete, right? 7 point something next season, 8 point something the year after that, to have a starting linebacker on your team that you don't have to think about for the next 2 years and everything like that. Like, I made it easy on you.
So that's
you
you wouldn't even take
very
that.
team friendly. That's a team friendly deal for sure.
I don't remember what we talked about. I didn't remember the exact figures of it. It may have been some other player we had talked about before. But yeah, no, okay. I like the Werner and the 6-4-4.
You want to throw that back to him? What do you think, Lance?
Hey. Yeah, I liked you in Sinners. Sorry, Josh and Haley. Josh and Haley were in the office. Have y'all decided to own a trade?
Yeah. How would you feel about we'll give you Pete in a sixth for a fourth, just to move you up around. Little pick swap.
I think a pick swap is fair. We can
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
All right.
They get a manageable contract, a solid linebacker. We get Stutzman out on the field and then got another, potential top 150 selection out of it. Like, that's it.
All right. Let's go with some that I think will be a little bit quicker conversations. Let's go with I'm the Seattle Seahawks. We traded away all of our wide receivers. We only have Jake Bobo and Cooper Kupp complimenting Jackson Smith and Jigba. Why don't y'all throw us Brandon Cooks? Get him off y'all's team. He's not doing anything. He's running cardio out there. I'm gonna offer y'all Brandon Cooks and a 2027 7th for a 2026 6th.
Late round pick swap, 6th and 7th.
Late round pick swap.
It would make Brandon Cooks, by the way, if we said yes, this makes Brandon Cooks the most traded player in the NFL. It would be his fifth career trade. Everybody career trade. He would surpass Eric Dickerson as the most traded player in the NFL.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild? And by the way, he would be traded away by the Saints twice in this scenario, which is crazy.
What was the offer?
I do it.
A 6th,
just because I feel like the production that he's had can be replaced.
Yeah. I could get Mason Tipton on the field. I could get Devon Vele more reps, which he needs anyway.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
And I feel like Seattle is missing somebody like that, like somebody that can get down the field vertically. Like Bobo, Cooper Kupp, Smith and Jigba plays mostly in the slot, even though he can run some. Like, they don't really have that outside vertical threat. I do the deal.
All right.
That's all we need to see here.
Traded for. What was he traded for last time? His last trade was. This is crazy. His last trade was him to the Texans for him to the Cowboys from the Texans for a 5th and a 6th.
So we're basically moving back a pick swap. Oh no, it wasn't a pick swap. It was 2 picks. Two late picks. One from 2023, one from 2024, and of course this was in 2023, 2022 going into 2023. So you're doing the pick swap?
Yeah, we do it. If I'm not mistaken, isn't his return to New Orleans the first time he changed teams without being traded?
Yeah, I
think that's right.
That's
the first time he got to pick where he picked.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, he's been moved around a lot. This was the first. I remember us asking that, like, how was it being a free agent for the first time?
All these teams and never being a free agent. That's
right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna be for the first time. It's not gonna be a GM calling y'all. I'm hitting speed dial as Sean Payton And I'm like, give me my boy back. I want Taysom Hill. I miss him. I don't even want to play him. We just have so much fun together. And I'm going to do the same. It's going to be a pick swap, essentially. I'm going to go a 6th for a 7th.
Can I be honest?
This year 6th for a future 7th.
Can I be honest? Oh, okay. So like a 2027 7th and an advance a year and around. I'm asking Taysom, like, honestly, like, I'm asking Taysom what he wants. If I'm the general manager, maybe that's soft, but I'm asking him what he wants. You want to go? Do you want to go? And if he says yes, I'll do the trade for that. If he says no, you got to give me more. And then I might consider moving him anyway.
Damn.
I mean, it's business, right? It's business, right? So if I come to you and I say like, hey, he doesn't want to go, we're not going to trade him. And then all of a sudden you're like, we'll give you a 5th or whatever. Then like, I might have to think about that.
I disagree there. Like, okay. I if it's somebody like Cam or DeMario or even AK, I think I have those conversations. Hey, we've got several offers. I don't want to move you, but I respect you. And this particular team gives you an opportunity to not just go to the playoffs, but maybe compete for a championship. I want to give you that opportunity. I would do the same thing
with those 3 as well. Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity if you want that. If you don't and you want to stay here, then I'll tell everybody to keep it moving. But I think those 3 are on a different level than Taysom is. If the compensation is right, I'm moving Taysom like anybody else. Not that I dislike the guy.
No.
I just don't think he's, I'm not going to say as important because he is an important piece to the puzzle and he's been really, really good for a number of years in New Orleans. I just don't feel the same affinity for the player that I do for the other guys that have been there longer and have been more productive than Taysom has on a part-time basis, basically. That's just how I feel about it. But to Dylan's trade, what was the trade again?
6th and 7th swap.
6th and a 7th swap.
But a future 7th to get a 6 for 20. For me, that's not enough. Like I would say that's not.
I'm in the mix. I'm in the middle of you two. I also have a larger affinity for Kamara, Jordan, Davis, but I think I have enough affinity. Enough. He's not on the same level as those 3, but I have enough affinity to talk to Taysom and say, look, what do you want to do? Especially with it being Sean, right? Like, it's like,
I have a middle. I have a middle ground, right? And so like, there's all the players that I would just trade if the value is right. There's the players that I ask if they want to go, and then whether the value is right or not, I go by what they want, which are the same 3 that Lance mentioned. But Taysom exists in the middle for me, to where I'll ask him, do you want to go? And if he says no, and then they up their offer, I might still consider it. But if he says yes, then I would move him. So he kind of exists in the middle for me.
Yeah, I'm there, and I don't think it's anybody else who really falls in that line with him. He feels kind of like, I mean, it's very Taysom-esque, but he feels like he's all by himself in that role.
Yeah, so he is also the leading touchdown scorer for many years now for this team.
Yeah,
and so it's like, but I think Lance's point about the part-time role, like you've had to learn how to survive without him already for so long. You know what I mean? And often it was like the same logic around Marshawn, right? Like around Marshawn Lattimore, like, well, they were used to being without him already anyway. And so they moved on. So, but I would think I would need more than a 2026 6th in exchange for him in a 2027 7th. I think I'd probably need more.
And if I'm Sean, I'm like, all right, I just wanted to hang out with my friend. It's not worth it. And I'm hanging out.
Sean's like, then it don't matter. Then that's fine. I'll let him play out his thing. But
all right.
Lance, real quick though, you said if the value is right, what do you think is the right value? Because it's such an interesting conversation for a guy like Taysom because there is no precedent.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do think that maybe if it was just Taysom for a 6. And we get to keep that 7th, then I might do it.
Yeah.
I just don't love the idea of player and a future pick, even though a lot of times the 7th round guys are practice squad developmental guys. I'd rather have one of those guys in addition to the extra 6 that we're getting in this draft.
Right. And who's to say you don't use that 6th along with another pick to make another move at a later time, right? You have a better opportunity to do that with a 6th than with a 7th.
Correct.
Yeah, I vibe with that. But Sean just wanted to say hi. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. All right, I think we'll go ahead and we'll end it there on this trade segment.
That was fun.
Dylan's back. It was fun.
Dylan's back.
Dylan's back.
Welcome back, Dylan.
I'm no longer the different GMs. That acting class was worth it. I hope y'all know.
I forgot you were Dylan for 45 minutes. I thought I was talking.
I put on this jacket and everything. It was all good. I didn't wear.
You've got that Tatiana Maslany skill set of just being able to play like 7 different characters or something. That's really, really impressive.
Oh man. My hat is calling to be like the goblin mask. All right. Well, if there's any more that y'all want, I think that we touched on all of the people that I think mostly are most likely to trade. There are other players like AK. I don't think is getting moved. Cam, I don't think is getting moved. DeMario, if he wants to go, he could go. I don't know if they're going to be rushing to trade him, but they could. But I think that's a similar question or as to Taysom Hill, although you need a little bit more, I think, for DeMario Davis to actually trade him just because he is so good and so important to that locker room. If there's any more, players that we didn't touch on, let us know. And, maybe we can touch on them next week if they don't get moved before then. So, but when we come back, there's a game this weekend against the Chicago Bears. We're going to get to our game preview with our picks and bold predictions for that. It's going to be fun. The NFL season is back, and guys, there's no better place to watch a game than to be in the game, because personally I love it because the view is all 22. You get to feel the energy. Ross will laugh at me. This, I've been to a game that I didn't want to be at, and then I just went to that game and watched the game I wanted to be at on my phone just because I wanted to feel the atmosphere. But let's be honest, getting tickets.
I need to start making Dylan money.
They were free tickets. But if you need Dylan money, you don't need Dylan money to get Gametime tickets. That's why I use Gametime. It gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price that you pay. I pulled up Gametime, and in just a couple of taps, I'm seeing Saint tickets for as low as $25. $25. That is, that's cheap to go see your favorite NFL team. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. All right, we're back, and let's talk a little bit about the Dennis Allen reunion game. Let's go with our game picks and bold predictions for this one. Guys, I'll start us off, and we're not going to need anyone to save the bracket because I've been picking the Saints to lose these games, and I'm not stopping here. I'm going the Bears, and I'm going to go 20-14. And, nice. Dennis Allen, I guess that would be a win for Dennis Allen, but it's more of just, another road game, road test. I don't think the offenses are going to be on fire in this one. But my bold prediction will be that Kendre Miller scores the first touchdown of the game, because it is it's the Kendre Miller revenge game because he was put into an all-time doghouse for no reason. Not for no reason, but you know what I mean. By Dennis Allen, he was, he's gonna get the chance. I like that they've been using him more, and as the season goes along, if you want to extend Alvin Kamara's career, especially in games that aren't going to matter, I think we're going to see more and more Kendre Miller, at least closer to an even snap share as the season goes along. And I think it's going to be similar cases for like Danny Stutzman, but not for different reasons. I think we'll see his snap score. they play around with these things as the season goes along. And I think that Kendre Miller is going to see a lot more of the field in this one, and I'm going to go get him getting his first touchdown. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Saints are going to still lose this game.
Dig it.
All right. Let's go with
AK also didn't practice today. So there's that.
Yeah, he's still dealing with that ankle injury with which he was listed as questionable going into that New England Patriots game. And then he played that game, and so something to watch throughout this week.
Yeah. It is, at this point, it's kind of like I just need to see the Saints win a game before I pick. Kind of similar to, Ross, you needed to see them win a game earlier this year. I right now I'm in the mood to where I need the Saints to prove that they can win a game before I feel comfortable picking them. I do think that they very much have a chance to win this one, and it could, end up being the opposite of what I said in the 2014. I think it could end up being an offensive day, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the Bears in this one. Let's go with Lance. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We might need to save the graphic after all.
I just think going into Chicago, they're coming off of a big win. Their confidence is going to be up. I think Ben Johnson is going to continue to start to kind of open things up for Caleb Williams and that group of skill players that they've got over there, which to me is a really good group.
Man.
And it's not like we've had a lot of success this season defending the pass. And I think this group of receivers, tight ends, and running back together are better than the group that we just saw last weekend at home. I think if anybody knows how to defend a Spencer Rattler-led offense, it will be the guy that coached him the last year and rolled him out as the starter. I think DA is going to have a good game plan. I think DA is going to try to bring pressure and confuse Spencer Rattler. And it pains me to say it, but I think I'm going to take the Bears 27-17. I think we'll score a little bit, but I just think that the Bears, I think they're two teams kind of going in opposite directions. And I don't say that to poo-poo on our Saints love and parade. I just think that it's they have a team that is playing better, and I think the roster overall is a little bit better than the one that we have. And it starts to me with the quarterback. Like I don't love Caleb Williams, but I do like what I'm seeing from him more recently. He looks more comfortable. And again, he's got plenty of guys that he can distribute the football to. And I guess for a little bit of positive, for my bold prediction, I will say that I think DeMario is going to have a sack and interception in this game.
Nice.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Okay. I'll say Caleb. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dylan.
I was going to say, I definitely agree with you in terms of the offense, and I think I like the quarterback more in this one. But for me personally, I think right now I'm trusting how Ben Johnson is getting used to using Caleb Williams more so than I think Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Spencer Rattler. Because right now, I don't know if I believe that's the case. I think they're probably so. I'm in the thought I've had this conversation with Ross before. I think that there is like 3 levels of quarterback in the NFL, and that doesn't really matter if who's better. I think they're both in probably the third tier of whatever that is right now of quarterback play.
I think the arm talent is what separates the two of them. I think that Caleb makes some freakishly crazy throws, and not to say that Spencer Rattler can't make any of those, but the dude was running for his life last year, and thankfully for them, they've kind of figured a lot of that out this year. Mm-hmm. But I just think that there was a reason why he was the number 1 overall pick, and I believe we're starting to see why now. Yeah, I think he's in the next tier. I think he's in that second tier, and I think he'll continue to show that he's growing and deserves to be in that group. Sorry.
And I think Rattler's going to come in with a point to prove. And I'm going to be real quick. I think he's going to come with a point to prove because he's going to have that chip on his shoulder from college. Like, I think that is definitely going to be something. And we pay attention so much to, we pay attention so much to the Dennis Allen and all of that aspect, Kendre Miller getting revenge. And those are great stories. But the idea of Spencer Rattler popping up like the Undertaker meme behind Caleb Williams, I think is something that is to be looked at. I think it's something that he'll be paying attention to. One thing that scares me about Caleb is he'll hold the ball and he'll try to make any sort of just play backyard football. And the Saints take a long time to get to the quarterback. They don't finish well at the quarterback. And those receivers do a good job scrambling. And that is something that really does scare me and concern me as far as the Chicago offense versus the Saints defense.
Yeah, it's big.
Ross, why don't you can it looked like you were going to say what Dario was going to say, but you can also comment on that and then also get with your game pick and bold prediction.
Yeah, no, that was exactly where I was going to go. Same place as Darian was going, so I'm glad that came up. My prediction, I thought you were about to give literally my exact prediction because I'm also taking Chicago 20-14. And my bold prediction is also about Kendre Miller, but not that he scores the first touchdown, but that he has his first career 100-yard rushing game in this one. That's a 31st ranked rushing defense. That is the defense that gives up the second most yards before contact in the NFL. And Kendre Miller is, I had it written down, I think number 6. Yeah, he's number 6 in the NFL and picking up yards after contact. So that's a pretty good combination of things that you got going on there. So I'm going 100 yards, first time in his career for Kendre Miller in this game on the ground, not all told, but on the ground. And I'll take Chicago 20-10 or 20-14. My apologies.
Yikes.
Darian, what are you gonna save the graphic just for
No, put the brooms away. I'm lone wolfing it. I'm not gonna howl. But
you better.
You better. Or I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna take you out of the.
I'll join the chat and just say my bold prediction in there. But no, guys, I think that.
All right, so.
Dylan, I gotta give you some credit. I did that to somebody, and I only did it because of you. They said something. I said, take them out.
Don't tell that to the higher ups.
Okay, so I think that the Saints win. I think they put some points on the board. I'm gonna go Saints 27 actually, and I'm gonna go Chicago 24. I think that my bold prediction. Sorry, I wish that I went a little earlier, but I'm going to say Kendre Miller 100-yard game, and he gets 2 touchdowns.
There you go.
This game. So we're combining all of them. I was like, just felt like a nice little progression, right? But I do, for many of the reasons that Ross said, think that we're going to get a big Kendre Miller game. And I think that Kellen has seemed to be very player forward. I don't think that this moment is lost on him. So I don't think that you're necessarily gunning unnecessarily, but I think he understands the importance, and we can sit here and say every game is the same. No game's more important than the other. I'll tell you what, I speak from a point of privilege of never being in the locker room. I don't believe it. I just I call it, or excuse me, a point of ignorance.
We have somebody to ask.
I don't know if he'll never give me the co-speak. Lance, I know they say every game is the same. True or false?
False. Look, I think there is something to it though. Like every game is the same as far as our preparation, right? Like we're still gonna go through the same routine. We're still gonna go through our game plan. We're still gonna go through and get the reps out there on the field. We're still gonna go through and break down the film and the opponent. We're gonna do all those things the same. But to say that there isn't situations or somebody or somebody's or a former employer that doesn't add a little something extra to it, sure. Does that mean that guys are out there playing harder because of it? I don't agree with that, because if you don't give your all every single time out, then you're going to get fired anyway. So but I do think that, because I've heard Sean say specific things about a specific player or a specific coach or a specific team even in the past, and guys are like, oh, okay. All right, like, okay, this is one of those games, so it ups your radar a little bit. You're alert to what the importance of these games are. But to say that we're going to do anything differently because of it, I don't agree with that. Like, I agree that the preparation, or I agree that it could mean something different, even though one win or one loss is the same no matter what week. But I don't agree that anything changes as far as the week goes, or even between those white lines, other than trying to, play your best, play your hardest, and make the plays when they're there to be made.
And I'll say this. I won't even go as far to say it's extra motivation, because I think every yard is a bit sweeter. I think the accomplishments are a bit sweeter. I think when you go up against either a player or a coach that you maybe just have something against, or you want to have a point to prove, or a team that used to be that you used to play for, I think that 100-yard game just hits a little harder. I think it's a little bit sweeter. That's what I think when I say this game means a little bit more. We just seen that with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, and even I was reminded that apparently Stephon Diggs did play Buffalo when he was with Houston, and it was kind of promoted as this revenge game, even though they had played before. But neither here nor there. This Locked On Saints. I'm assuming this is the Saints Squad show on Locked On Saints. Go ahead and check all of that out.
Hey, that's my thing.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm wearing a Locked On shirt.
Oh, well.
Dang.
All right. Where you get that one?
Well, I told you, I got you, Lance. All right. I got you. This Dilly guy, he still got a little work to do. But I got you, man. No more what you call it, sports stars? Nah, whatever. But yeah, I got the Saints winning. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Saints Squad Show. Check out me, Ross, and John, only us three, on our socials for the latest.
And Lance.
And Lance. Only us four.
It's cool.
On our socials for the latest. We'll be right back here on Sunday, ready to talk about the maybe the Saints are gonna win against the Chicago.
They silenced the lone wolf.
Until Sunday, that's the next time you'll see Darian, who couldn't make it out tonight to shave. But we'll see what he thought on Sunday. Maybe a little bit of John. It's going to be fun. But until then, be sure to check out Ross on Locked On Saints for the latest. And shout out to Lance for dancing up the storm in the Superdome. We didn't
Cupid concert.
talk about that. Cupid concert. Oh man.